Using a flat blade screwdriver coated with some electrical tape so as not to mar the plastic, I slowly worked it in between the speaker grill and the fairing, just enough to get my fingers in there, and then slowly worked my fingers in behind the grill until the grill pops out. On the other end of the grill there's a tab that slips into a slot in the fairing. Once you get the speaker grill off, you just have to remove the 4 Allen head bolts. This T-handled Allen wrench made short work of the one in the top right hand corner, however the other ones couldn't be reached due to the angle. So I resorted to a 90-degree Allen wrench at first, and then I remembered that the Indian toolkit comes with an Allen wrench that has a ball end on it. It happens to be the right size for these bolts. The balled end allows you to turn the bolts at an angle. And simply pull the speaker out, and you can see the 2 speaker wires there. The green wire is actually the positive and the black wire is the negative. Here's a comparison of the 2 speakers, the stock Indian Chieftain speaker and the Polk Audio DB521s. The difference is pretty significant just looking at it. You can tell this is a better constructed speaker. If you look at the size difference, the Polk has quite a bit more mass behind it. And size doesn't always matter, as they say, but when it comes to speakers it kind of does, especially when you're talking about the coil and the magnet. The Polks have a nice big heavy magnet, and the stock Indian speakers have this little magnet. The weight is significantly different. The Polks are much heavier due to that magnet. I'm not going to weigh it on a scale. I don't have one that would be appropriate, but just by feel, it's obviously heavier. I would even go so far as to say nearly twice as heavy. I'm actually quite impressed looking at the physical makeup of these stock speakers. I'm actually very impressed at how good they did sound. There were some dynamics missing when you're up in the high ends and some of the bass notes, as well as midtones, depending on the song you're listening to. So I'm going to be interested in knowing how good these Polks sound compared to those. One other important thing to point out about the differences between these 2 speakers is the difference in the size of the terminals. So the stock Indian speaker has different size terminals than the Polk Audio speakers. There, you can see it that way. See the smaller one here, that smaller terminal, which is the negative terminal, as indicated here. And I verified with Polk Audio support to make sure that was actually the negative, because I wanted to make sure I got them hooked up correctly. On the stock Indian speaker, the positive terminal is the smaller terminal as indicated by that red dot. I also verified that using the battery method. If you're not familiar with that, I'm not going to go into that right now, but basically I confirmed that that is the positive terminal. So now you need a way to connect your new Polk Audio DB521 speakers to your Chieftain Entertainment Center. And the way you do that is make a couple of jumper wires like this. So you have your connector that fits on the terminals, and then it goes out to a blade connector which plugs into your connector on your Indian. This way you don't have to cut the wires on your motorcycle. To me, that's preferable. But another thing to point out is remember that the larger terminal on the Polk is the positive terminal, where on the stock the larger terminal was the negative. So easy fix, you put a female terminal connector that fits over that terminal for the positive, and then you just put a small blade connector, which is about the same size, almost exactly the same size as the stock blade. So I just slip this one on here, slip this one on here. Okay, to pop the grills back on, piece of cake. You take this little tab, slide it in the slot, get everything lined up, and it just pops right in.
A company always on the run. A company